It's Throwback Thursday, 1975 is our throwback. It's when Ontario kicked off. Now, every province has a different launch date for their lotto, but we just picked Ontario because that's a fun story. What a cool variety show that we'll talk about in just a little bit. Coming up, I'm Shane Hewitt. I am in Ottawa. Anita Bruinsma joins us now to talk about lotto. As Anita has a lotto gambling problem, and we're going to have an intervention here on the air. I'm joking. Personal finance writer, contributor to the Globe and Mail, and founder of Clarity Personal Finance, clarityonyourmoney.com. It's a good retirement plan, Anita. How cool is that? What's your retirement plan? I'm just going to win the lottery. How many times have you heard that?
Shane, I have to say, I have never in my years of a financial planner say that winning the lottery is part of the financial plan because the odds of winning the lottery are so astronomically small. I think it's like, you're more likely to be struck by lightning and all those sorts of statistics. So, it's not something I talk about that often with clients, but
we did not bring you here to don't poo-poo on our dreams. Here's the scenario, okay? We're going to create an imaginary scenario, and I want you to dance with me because you're going to help us out. Because we had the $1.8 billion winner down in the States. He said he was going to take a year to just do himself. We win. Let's be modest. $10 million. That's modest. In the land of lotto, I think that's a pretty hefty win, but not as big as it could have been. So we've just won $10 million. Me, Ryan, Noah, each. It's $30 million. We split it on a split ticket. We're excited. We come in. We probably are still hungover from the weekend party because that was a good one. The deposits are coming in. The cash is coming. We're very excited for the future. Don't poo-poo our party. What do we do with the money?
Shane, I would say in that situation, the first thing you need to do is do nothing. So the first thing you need to do is just chill out. Okay, go to the party, that's fine. But after that on Monday morning, chill out, take a breath, and take a pause. Because the last thing you want to do is be impulsive with this kind of money. Because the reality is $10 million landing in your bank account, it's probably going to feel completely surreal and completely overwhelming. And so you really need to kind of sit back and absorb, like, what does this actually mean for me and for my life? And you really need to think about what are the values and what makes you happy as a person. Because we often hear, well, I would quit my job the second I won the lottery. But what we know from people who retire early, they find that actually they're quite unhappy when they retire too early and they don't have anything else to do with their time. And so don't be impulsive. Don't quit your job on Monday morning and just take a little time to think about what's important to you and what would actually make you happy.
Okay, we're calling in sick then on Monday. I'm going to take your good advice and translate it into real life advice. So, okay, we've called in and sick on Monday. Now, here's the thing. If there's $10 million in my bank account, I imagine the hardest dollar to spend would be the first dollar. And here's why. Because you're going to go to the ATM and you're going to want the receipt that has 10 million zeros on it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to want to take that. What's your balance? And as soon as you take out $20, but now it's 9 million. So I feel like the very first spend, when that 10 turns to a 9, would be the most difficult of the things. So I can see why somebody would be very, very hesitant to do anything. Now, because I will game the system, here's what I would do is I would take $100 and I would deposit it into the bank account, and then I'd go to 4 other ATMs and I'd withdraw $20, $20, $20. So then I could still keep seeing my $10 million in my bank account.
Okay. That's fine. But remember, okay, Shane, if you were to invest that money, it's going to grow to a lot more than $10 million. And so you're quickly going to go back over your $10 million limit. So, but all joking aside, if you were to win the lottery, and $10 million is a large amount, but let's even talk about more modest amounts. What if you win $30,000 or $50,000, which is, it's not exactly life-changing, but it can certainly improve your life.
It's life-changing for me. I can tell you right now.
It can improve your life a whole lot. And in that case, once you've taken a breath, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to pay off any debt that is high interest rate debt. Like for sure, number one thing you're going to do, if you have credit card debt, if you have a very expensive car loan, that is the first thing you're going to do. And that's kind of a no-brainer. So you can kind of go ahead and do that on day one without worrying about it too much. But don't go crazy and then suddenly saying, well, I also want to pay off my mortgage. So that's a lot of people's dream. They're like, oh my gosh, if I could just pay off my mortgage, I'm going to feel so great. But the reality is that paying off your mortgage might not be the right choice, especially if you have a pretty low interest rate, right? You're probably better off investing that money. So,
well, that was going to be my next question, is that I'm going to pay off my mom's house and I'm going to pay off my sister's house and all these things. If you took $1 million and you had a decent investment, even a registered one that was basic and insured, you're probably making more interest off of that than your interest cost would be on the other one. But that does mean that you're probably still going to keep working. You're just making more money off your money. But that's got to be part of the secret, because once you erode that first chunk, it's hard to make it back again.
Yeah. And so when we talk about investing, if you invest it just for interest, like put it in a savings account or even a GIC or something like that, you're not really going to earn that much. When I talk about investing, it's like we need to be investing this in at least part of it into the stock market to kind of get those big returns. And so when we think about the more modest amounts, that is really where we can see things being a game changer. So for example, if you had $50,000 that you were able to invest today and you were able to earn 7% per year, which is not unreasonable if you invest in the stock market, in 20 years, that turns into almost $200,000. So if you think about that $50,000 today and what that can do 20 years down the road for your retirement, like that's really how you need to think. And of course, the larger the number, the more impactful. So, $500,000 would turn into about $2 million in 20 years time. And that basically is your whole retirement, right? So this is kind of the way you need to think. I mean, $10 million is a whole other level. And so if you were to win $10 million, I think you'd feel a bit overwhelmed. Like, what am I going to do with this money? It's now such a big responsibility that you have to figure out how you're actually going to invest this money and who is going to help you with it, right?
Yeah, well, and that would be a big one, is who's going to help me with it and who do I trust with it? Traditional banks, they're going to start to fight for it. They're all going to start to fight you for it. And that was one thing that I had read about buying a house, for example, is that shopping your mortgage could be much more valuable than paying off your mortgage, because now you're going to have all kinds of lenders that are like, oh, be my friend.
That's exactly right. You're going to be chased by all kinds of people, and suddenly you're going to become the preferential customer who gets the better rates on, as you say, the mortgage, and higher rates on your GICs and things like that. And so what you need to do is you need to be really careful with the folks who are chasing you, and making sure that if you want to find someone to look after that money for you, you kind of need two things. One is you probably need to have a financial planner. So a financial planner is going to help you parse out what to do with this over time.
Okay, that's great. What are your thoughts on buying a tiger, though? Maybe? Can that be part of the party weekend?
Of course. With $10 million, you can always buy a tiger.
Yes! ClarityOnYourMoney.com. Go introduce yourself to Anita Bruinsma. Okay, that was good. We didn't poo-poo on the lotto winnings here for Throwback Thursday. I feel good. Thank you, Anita. Shane Hewitt in the night shift. We'll be right back with more as we throw back to 1975, and Rob Breckenridge is...